So here we are again to take something out which I'm not entirely sure if it makes a lot of sense. What could it be? So here we have the BMW R1250 RT, a favourite of the middle-aged and policemen alike. Let's have a little look around it. First thing I'll say, that this top box does not belong to this bike. This is off a K1600, but I believe you can get the same size of box, and it is enormous. That's 2 helmets in there quite easy, which is very good. There we go. So, what's my impressions of this bike? It was comfortable enough. The screen is super big and clear, which I like. It's a nice big screen. I found the handlebars a little bit too in for me, but it's a minor complaint. I will say, not even 90s Japanese cars use this much plastic. It is very plasticky, but a staggering amount of wind protection. And the performance is as you'd expect from that boxer engine. And that's my issue. The boxer engine is aimed at low down torque and punch. So it makes sense in a GS, it makes sense in an RS. It does not make sense on this bike. If you want a bike that does this, buy a K1600. That makes sense. In fact, the engine's smoother on a K1600. If you're trying to do significant miles, I'm guessing that would be a better bike to do it on. It's very tall, this bike. It's more unwieldy than a GSA, I would say, at least for me and my comedy legs. But it's not a bad bike. It's not a bad bike by any stretch of the imagination. It just doesn't make any bloody sense. I'm sure there's many people out there that will find what I'm saying incredibly blasphemous. That's why I thought I'd come and film this near a church, to be appropriately placed. But this is my issue with single platform bikes, that at some point there is a compromise to be made, and taking the boxer engine and putting this platform is a significant compromise. The screen, and I'll show you when I'm riding, I'll put it up, it is enormous to the point where you feel like you're sat in a car, and when it's at its lowest setting, it's just putting all the wind in your face. Obviously it's not one or the other, but if you're going to have it all the way up, be in a car. I think it's a good looking bike in its defence. And if the K1600 didn't exist, this would be amazing. But the K1600 does exist, and therefore this doesn't make any sense. Interestingly, as I look at the camera or the screen, the blue looks better in the camera than it does in real life. Not to say it's an ugly colour, but it does look well. What I didn't like, when I went to leave the dealership, this plastic here which protects you from wind, you can't see the stand. So I didn't even know if it was down. A minor point, but definitely a thing. So who's buying this? Policemen? That makes sense. If you're going to do a tour, K1600 or a GS. If you want low down punch and you want fairing, 1250 RS. It's a shame really, because it is a good bike. How can it, I mean, all the bikes from BM are broadly speaking good. Just this one makes the least amount of sense. Anyway, let's head back to the dealership. Some of my thoughts. Oh, before I go, I forgot to do the seat height. Let's do that. This is a big one.
BMW R1250 RT. Now, I can't stress it enough, it's not a bad motorbike. The boxer engine's a great engine. It just doesn't make any sense. I don't know why you'd pick it. You've had to not buy other things that aren't the compromise that that is. It's a shame really, there's a few in the dealership and they're good looking bikes. But the engine's not suited for me to that application. I don't know. Anyway, as always with Dick Lovett, you come for the bikes. Stay for the pop. Cheers.